Hello, everyone, and welcome to this educational presentation where today I want to talk to you about how to become one of the very first to trade our brand new strategy. This is strategy number 2. I've talked about this a little bit before in previous presentations. This is a great method that we've been working on and one of our most consistent methods, and you're going to be one of the first that's privy to being able to trade it on our platform. For example, let me share with you a few examples how this works. Here's an older chart in INTU. It's going back about a month or so. Someone looking at this would say, well, not much direction here. We're going down and then firming up a little bit, but we're really not in any way determined on which direction this market is going and where the trend is. Well, the first thing we want to do is tell you that a buy signal was generated right in the middle of all that kind of whipsaw action. And if you looked at the previous 10-day high, you would have seen that in just 6 days, it broke that 10-day high, and you could have potentially captured upwards of 20 points. So this is a great method. And on top of that, if you missed that signal, another one was generated just after that. So we're going to be talking about one of the first to trade strategy number 2. All of you are going to be privy to some information I'm going to be giving you about a great bonus offer we have in terms of being one of the first to trade strategy number 2. So welcome once again. My name is Steven Primo, president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 46 years. I started my career on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was on the floor for a total of 16 years, and 9 of those years I was a specialist. That's where we get the name Specialist Trading. Specialist is someone who makes markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So I did that during the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed. And roughly in the mid-90s, I decided to start teaching and to actually trade my account as well as other people's accounts. And so I've traded just about every method, every system you can think of. I've traded just about every market environment in the last 46 years. I know what works in terms of consistency, and I know what doesn't work. So that's why I teamed up with Proprietary Strategies, and we developed Specialist Trading, which is purely an educational company where all we do is educate traders around the world in over 115 countries and in every state in the United States, all the things I've accumulated in my career that have high levels of consistency. So you can really become a consistent trader. And you'll see that today when we're talking about strategy number 2. Now, before we begin today's presentation, we are required to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results with strategy number 2, but please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Okay, so remember, we are first and foremost an educational company. That's what we're all about. We simply want to educate you. And the only way we can do that is provide you in our courses, in our free webinars, and on Twitter, different information to show you what really works in terms of consistency. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, because a good mentor does not trade for you the way some other websites do, where they just spit out signals for you to take on a nightly basis, or have a system that generates buy and sell signals and you just blindly have to take them. We don't believe in that, because roughly that's the way the entire industry is based on, and roughly 80 to 85% of all traders fail. So it's obvious that that method does not work. What really works, I've found out in 46 years, is teaching traders and then having them figure out exactly how they want to trade it and work with them, so that if you're a very risk-averse trader, you can have some different ways in which to apply and which to enter. If you don't mind having a lot of risk, there's different ways to enter and trade, and we provide you with all of this information so that ultimately you are in charge. No one is telling you when to buy, when to sell. You're in charge of your own trading. In my 46 years, the only traders I know who are still consistent are the ones that are in charge of their own trading and make their own trading decisions. So that's our goal at Specialist Trading. Hopefully, we can get you on board with that concept as well. Okay, so let's begin today's educational presentation, and we're going to be talking about strategy number 2. As I stated, this is a brand new method. We've been working on it for years, and we had a very difficult time in the beginning, because the method showed high levels of consistency, but then it would go into these areas where it would get really whipsawed and go into a strong downtrend with the P&L. And a lot of these signals were really faulty. And so let me show you how this worked here, okay? Some of the highlights of this particular method are, as we said, it's an entirely new method. but it's designed to generate signals in only the strongest of markets. So we kind of cured that problem of generating, great signals followed by faulty signals. And the way we did that was by applying a unique and proprietary filtering process, which is part of the method. It filters out a lot of those whipsaw and bad signals, and it keeps in the ones that are only generated in the strongest of markets. Now, it's designed to trade quick 5 to 10 bar trades. So in other words, if you're using it on a daily chart, most of the trades last anywhere from 5 to 10 days. If you're using it on a 5-minute chart, most of the trades last from 5 to 10-minute bars, okay? But we will show you in the course, if you'd like to stay in longer, how to stay in the course, in the trade, I should say, longer, so that you don't feel you're limited to only having a real short-term trade. There are some really nice longer-term setups with this. But because of its concept of only trading or generating signals that really have the meat of the profits in the 5 to 10 bars, this is perfect for option trading. If you're an option trader and you like to hold on for something, but not for a long time because you don't want to see the premium decay and you don't want to be holding on to position too long, this is a very good strategy to trade with options. Now, in the course, I will teach an aggressive as well as conservative version. And then lastly, this is, as we stated earlier, an extremely consistent method. Now, I know a lot of traders think that consistency means that it has a number of winners, that it never loses. And that's not true. You will have losses from time to time, but a consistent method is one that's able to recoup those losses. You see, there's so many methods that promise the world, and every once in a while they do hit these home runs. You'll see a method, or someone will talk about it in a webinar, and it has these fantastic results, okay? But they don't show you when it goes into a drawdown, when it has a series of losses. And oftentimes when it does that, it gives back all of the profits that it made. That is not a consistent method. A consistent method is one that has a nice upward slope in its P&L, okay? That's what you're looking for, a 2 steps forward, 1 step back approach. And all of our methods are extremely consistent, including strategy number 2. Okay, now we said, in the beginning, strategy number 2 was generating some really nice setups and some really nice signals, but then all of a sudden it would go into this drawdown phase, and whereas nothing worked. And so we didn't feel comfortable really giving it to the public then. So let me share with you how it looked without this filter that we discovered, okay? So these are the signals in Apple. Here's an older chart of Apple. As you can see, we had some sell signals here that didn't work out at all. But then once we kicked into the buy setups, well, they worked really nicely until the market started to head in a lower direction, and the buy setups, once again, didn't work at all. So ultimately, you most likely would not have made any money trading the majority of these setups. But now let me show you what that same chart looked like with the filter applied. And as we can see, we only kept in the profitable setups. As you can see, had you taken the very first setup here, that's a 15-point potential gain in Apple, and you would have sidestepped all of this downward moving action. Here's another example. Let's look at strategy number 2 as applied originally without the filter. And we see here in ZS, we had a number of setups that appeared okay. Okay, here was a nice buy signal right here. It worked out really well. These were okay, very short term. But then all of a sudden we went into this sideways whipsaw action, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. And then by that time, we're not ready to take this one. We've probably lost a lot of money, and that would have missed a very nice sell setup. Now let's apply the same chart, the same signals, but with the filter. And as we can see, we kept the really nice upward signals here that all would have potentially gained 20 points. And we kept the really nice sell signal here that potentially would have gained 50 points, okay? Now, by applying the proprietary filter to the trading requirements, we have developed an extremely consistent trading strategy. And with this filter, we felt comfortable enough to bring it open into the public and to have it and being able for students and for members to trade strategy number 2. And remember, strategy number 2, as we have seen, is called our short-term high-low strategy. The reason for this is because, remember I showed you in that very first setup, oftentimes if you see a 10-period high, a short-term 10-day high, a signal, a buy signal, will in the next 5 to 10 days close above that 5 or 10-day high. And oftentimes if you see a 5 or 10-day low, oftentimes a sell signal will close below in the next 5 to 10 bars. So this is a tremendous advantage to know that within the next 5 or 10 days, you're going to be making either new highs or new lows. Okay, now it's not guaranteed, but we've seen this in a lot of our setups. Remember, everything you're going to be seeing today was produced and displayed on the PTS Primo charting platform. This is the educational platform that actually teaches you how to trade and will automatically generate strategy number 2 signals for you. Okay, so let's look at some recent examples to see how it really worked. Most of these took place within the last month. Some took place within the last couple of days, okay? All right, here's an example in Lily, LLY, all right? Looks like it's going up just off face value, but then it starts to roll over. We have a bearish engulfing pattern here, and it looks like it's topping out, right? So for all intents and purposes, we could say that's a 10-day high, all right? This is the highest high of the last 10 days or 10 bars. But once we apply strategy number 2, we see that at that very high, a buy signal was generated, okay? Now, nothing has happened in 2 days, but then look what happened later. 3, 4, 5 days, you could have potentially captured 10 points as it closed above that previous 10-day high. Here's another example in SE, okay? This was about a month ago. We're just looking at 3 bars here. Most people could say, well, how can I make any determination based off 3 bars? Well, we can look at this little high that was generated here. This is a 10-bar high or a 10-day high, the highest high of the last 10 days, all right? And then right here, strategy number 2 generated a buy signal, as exemplified by the green dot, okay? So it's telling us within the next 5 to 10 days, there's a high probability that we're going to be closing above this high. So what a great edge to have. Let's see what happened. Well, in 11, or I should say in 6 days, you could have potentially captured 11 points. Not a bad little quick trade, right? And there was another setup, if you happen to miss that, that still closed above the high. Let's look at AAP. All right, once again, this was about 3 weeks ago. Not much action happening here. Here's the 10-day low. All right, so in the last 10 days, this was the lowest low right here. So we see that now that a strategy number 2 signal was generated here to sell. So there's a high probability in the next 5 to 10 days, in the next 5 to 10 bars, that we're going to be closing below that low. And look what happened. In 3 days, it closed below, and you potentially could have captured up to 11 points. Another example in MTB. This was about a month ago. All right, so what's happening here? Well, we have another 10-day low. All right, we've gone up. It looks like for all intents and purposes, most people would say, well, Steve, that was a bottom that made. It looks like we're going higher. But strategy number 2 generated a sell signal on that up dip. So this is a high probability signal that we're going to most likely be closing below this 10-day low in the next 5 to 10 days. Now look what happened. In just 2 days, you could have potentially captured 15 points. This is a perfect example of why we say this is a great strategy for trading options. You don't have to tie up a lot of money, holding it too long and watching the premium decay. Most trades, as we said, have the bulk of their movement within 5 to 10 days. All right, looking at an example of COO. This was about a month ago. Here's the recent 10-day high, and there's the buy signal. Okay, do you want to take the trade? Well, yeah, look what happened. Now, if you're trading this short term and want to get in and out quickly, you could have said, okay, well, in 1 day, we closed above that 10-day high. But if you wanted to hold on longer, in 7 days, you could have potentially captured 11 points. So there's lots of different ways to trade and apply this method. And another signal was generated right here, where there's a high and it closed above it 2 days later. Let's look at ESS. Excuse me. Once again, a new 10-day low right here, all right, just based off these few bars here. And a signal was generated here to go short. If you decided to take it, in 7 days, you could have potentially captured 18 points. So see, if you wanted to, you could basically sell this and see that in 3 days, it made a new 10-day closing low, or hold on a little longer, which we show you in the course how you could do that as well. All right, let's look at MLM. This happened about a month ago. Now, someone looking at this would say, well, yeah, obviously we're going lower, okay? We're in a downtrend. So, okay, maybe I want to buy because we're going a little bit too low, and that, what's it called, class I went to, the other webinar, said that it's bottoming out. But look what we have here. We have a 10-day low, all right? Now, if strategy 2 generates a sell signal, there's a high probability that we're going to go even lower. So even though you may not want to trade strategy number 2, maybe this can help you from getting in too early. For example, let's say you wanted to buy MLM based on your research, and you see that strategy number 2 generated a signal. Well, this would be a good point to sit on the sidelines and wait, because had you waited just 3 days, you could have saved yourself 17 points. All right, let's look at Meta. This is going back last month. We have a little high created right here. This is a new 10-day high, okay, the highest high out of the last 10 days. And a buy signal was generated at the lows of this bar. So this is a really high probability setup that we're going to be closing above here in the next 5 to 10 bars. That's a very good setup to have, because look what happened. In 5 days, it went up 11 points and closed above. As we look at Pool, this was also last month. We have a new 10-day low, all right? And we have a sell signal generated here, along with another one right here. You could have taken both of those and in just 2 days, potentially captured 22 points. You see the edge we're trying to share with you, what this has? It's not guaranteed, but we've seen it happen so often that once a 10-day high or low is generated and a signal is produced, oftentimes, if it's a buy signal, it will be closing above that 10-day high in the next 5 to 10 bars, or closing below that 10-day low, as you see here, in the next 5 to 10 bars. All right, let's look at Tesla. This just happened like a week or so ago, okay? Tesla's been going higher, but here's the new 10-day low right there, right? That's the lowest low of the last 10 bars, okay? So for the short term, it's going higher. Over the long haul, it's actually been going lower. But what happens? We get a sell signal right here. Now, this was on the 13th of April, just a week or so ago. And look what happened. 25 points in just 5 days, okay? Do you think you would have liked to trade this just a couple of weeks ago? Maybe bought some puts based off this? And this is the beauty of this, as we said, for option traders, because look at it, closed at the high on this particular day. So the premiums would have been less if you like to buy puts. All right, here's an example in INTU we looked at earlier, all right? Here's the 10-day low, as we see right here. But at the same time, here's a 10-day high, okay? So what are we to do? Well, the main thing is we wait for a setup. Strategy number 2 will tell us most likely which direction it wants to go. And as we see here, a buy signal was generated. So most likely it's going to break out to the upside as opposed to the downside. And we don't have to worry about that new 10-day low. And we just simply watched in the next 6 days, it went up 20 points to close above that 10-day high. And another signal was generated right here as well, if you missed that first one. And then another one right here, right at the very low, where you could have bought some inexpensive prices right here and then soared up to new 10-day highs the next day. Okay, let's look at ISRG. This was coming into April this month, all right? Not much happening, but there's a new 10-day high right there. Okay, let's see what strategy number 2 is telling us. Well, it's telling us there's a buy signal right here. All right, so for all intents and purposes, there's a high probability we're going to be closing above that high within the next 5 to 10 bars. That's a great edge to have. And look what happened. We went up and closed above. Now, if you're the type of trader that likes to get in and out quickly, you could have taken your quick profits and said, thank you. But if you'd like to stay in and hold out a little bit longer, well, in 11 days, you could have potentially captured 50 points. Now, look what happened. Obviously, this gapped up on some news or some announcement right here. But it's funny how strategy number 2 already had generated a buy signal without any knowledge of fundamental news, because it's not based on fundamental, it's based on market behavior. So this is the beauty of when you trade things based on market behavior. Oftentimes, I've seen in my 46 years of trading, signals are generated in advance of the news and in that direction. All right, so let's look at some other markets and some other time frames, because you can trade strategy number 2 in a wide variable amount of markets, all right? Let's look at a 4-hour chart of the euro dollar. Here's a new 10-bar high, because remember, each one of these bars is 4 hours, and here's a buy signal. Well, look what happened. In the next couple of days, you closed above, okay, in 3 bars. So you could have exited there or held out for just 2 days altogether, and that would have potentially captured 180 pips. That's roughly about $1,800 per unit. Here's an example in a weekly chart in the British Canadian dollar. Right? Each one of these bars represents a week. So we're looking at a 10-week low. Okay, that's the lowest low in the last 10 weeks. And we have two sell signals generated. All right, if you missed this one, it generated another sell signal. Now, most traders would think, well, Steve, that's a bottom here. It looks like we're going higher. But strategy number 2 called it, because in the next 7 weeks or 7 bars, you could have potentially captured 850 pips, close to $9,000 per unit. So whether you're going up or down, whether it's stocks or currency pairs, it makes no difference. And we're looking at a 30-minute chart of GME. This is GameStop, and this was just about a month ago, okay? As we see here, each one of these bars is 30 minutes, and here's the last 10-bar high out of looking back 10 30-minute bars, okay? And what do we have here? A buy signal was generated. On the very next bar, you could have gotten out with a quick profit. Let's say you bought 5,000 shares and said, hey, that's a nice little one-day gain here, I'm out. Or held on for just one more day and potentially captured 8 points, okay? And then lastly, we can look at Bitcoin. Here's a 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. Here's the 10-bar high. And then a buy signal was generated right here. So the odds are in our favor that we will be closing above that 4-hour 10-bar high in the next 5 to 10 bars, okay? Now, give or take a few. It doesn't have to be 5 or 10 exactly. In other words, sometimes it may be 10 or 11 or 12. Sometimes it may be 2 or 3. But as we see here, it took a little bit while longer, but just 5 days, you could have potentially captured 3,200 points trading this setup. So you see the really high potential for these really nice setups, because most likely the odds are in your favor that you are going to be closing above a 10-bar high if you're long, or closing below a 10-bar low if you're short. So let's recap what we taught you today. Strategy number 2 highlights. As we said, it's an entirely new strategy. We've never talked about this before. I've never given it in one of my courses or something of a side note, because we've been working on this for so long. We really wanted to fine tune it, and we're happy to feel that we are, because it's now designed to generate signals in only the strongest of markets. I mean, think about that. You really only want to be trading when you have the wind at your back, when the current is behind you, because that's really giving you a high probability that it's going to continue in that direction. So strategy number 2 is designed to only trade these really strong trending markets. Now, it does this by applying a unique and proprietary filtering process. We showed you the charts before in the beginning without the filtering process. And then once we had discovered this, things really fell into place. And that's why we feel so comfortable now announcing this to the public. Now, it's designed to trade these quick 5 to 10 bar trades. I showed you just dozens of examples right now. But remember, you can stay in longer. But because the majority of these trades are really great for these quick 5, 10 bar bounces or sell-offs, it makes it perfect for option trading. If you don't want to see the premiums decay because you're holding on to a position for weeks and you're thinking, this is far too long, nothing's happening, this is perfect if you like to trade options. Now, in the course, I'll teach you both an aggressive and conservative way to trade it, depending on your risk management. But lastly, remember, this is an extremely consistent method. I know a lot of traders think consistency means it has nothing but winners, and that's not true. There will be losses from time to time. That's perfectly normal, just the same way every athlete does not get a hit every time up at bat. Every basketball player doesn't score a basket every time they shoot, but it doesn't mean they're bad. It's just consistency at what matters. Same way an entertainer doesn't have a hit movie or hit album every time, but it's the longevity that really matters. And that's what our methods are. They're a 2-step forward, 1-step back approach, and they're extremely, extremely consistent. Okay, so ask yourself, the 4th month of 2023 is almost over. That's April. I mean, we're going to be over this week. Is your trading anywhere near where you thought it would be in January? Most likely it's not, right? That's okay. I know exactly what that feels like, because when I first started trading 40, 60 years ago on the floor of the stock exchange, I was going through the exact same thing myself. I was doing all the same things that most likely you've been taught, looking at research, looking at fundamental news, we didn't have chat rooms or websites then, but we had newsletters, and we used to watch the trading gurus on TV. And then I'd hear about all this back testing and research that went back 10 years where it worked perfectly, and then I traded, and then it stopped working the minute I traded it, okay? So I know what it's like to be discouraged. I know what it's like to be frustrated, and I know what it's like to spend your hard-earned money and not see the type of results. So ask yourself, do you think this new strategy can help your trading for the remainder of the year? I think most of you will resoundingly answer yes. So because of that, we have a great special offer and a great attendee discount for all of you attending today. This is our entirely new trading method, strategy number 2. We're going to offer you our new strategy, and which filters out the weakest of all signals and keeps in the strongest one. Remember, you're going to get the complete trading rules to this method. You can scan for daily setups on our platform. Remember, the average trades last 5 to 10 days, but in the course, I'll show you how to stay in longer, okay? This is ideal for option trading. Now, I know a lot of you say, well, you know, I kind of have it figured out. I don't really need this because all I have to do is figure out where the 10-day high is or the 10-day low. And once we kind of back off a little bit from there, I just buy. You're just buying within a strong trend. And most likely anything will go up and break out and make a new high. Okay, well, let's look at this chart of Tesla, this older chart of Tesla going back to last year. Say you had looked at this and said, okay, well, we're in a strong uptrend. We're going straight up. And then we start to, filter out and kind of start to pan out a little bit. So here's the 10-day high that was just established. It's the highest high in the last 10 days. All right, so we've gone down a couple of days. So all I have to do is just buy on the down days, maybe buy there, buy here. And in the next 5 to 10 bars, it's going to close above there. So what do I need to have strategy number 2 for? Okay, well, because of this. You see, strategy number 2 didn't generate a buy signal here because it didn't meet the requirements, and using the filter as well, it would have kept you out, and you could have potentially lost 80 points using this faulty technique. So this is why you really need strategy number 2. It's not just enough to say, oh, well, I just look for 10-day highs and 10-day lows, and most likely they're going to close above there. If you want to take that approach, well, good luck, because you could meet this scenario oftentimes. Here's an extra bonus that we're going to give you if you decide to sign up for this course. Remember, everything you saw today was displayed on the PTS Primo charting platform, the educational platform I developed and designed with proprietary strategies that was meant to teach you how to trade. So what we're going to do, if you decide to become a student, we're going to throw in a full year of the platform absolutely free. That's a full year of things that you won't see on any other platform, because not only will you be getting strategy number 2, where the automatic signals are generated, but you'll also be getting a host of different tools and techniques that you won't find anywhere else, things that I've accumulated for most of my time on the floor when I was on the trading floor for 16 years. And we're not going to stop there. We're also going to throw in another extra bonus on top of this. Traders who sign up for the strategy number 2 course will get free access to the advanced scanning masterclass. Now, this is a live class that I will be teaching, and we're going to be going really deep. We're going to take a deep dive into scanning, where we're going to really talk about advanced scanning, things that no one has ever talked about before. I'll show you different variables. I'll show you different combos, a way to scan that's on our platform. You can only do this on our platform. And I'll show you new research for scanning for the highest probability trades. So if you decide to become a student of mine in the strategy number 2 course, you will also get access to the advanced scanning masterclass. Okay, so this is a fantastic deal in itself, because the advanced scanning masterclass is worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Okay, so let's break it down. The strategy number 2, along with all the bonuses, this is our entirely new method. Now, normally this would cost close to $5,000. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you 2 options. We're not going to charge you $49.95. We're going to discount it. If you'd like to pay in full, we'll give you the special discount of $44.95. You'll save $500. That's for students who just want to pay it outright and pay it out and get it all taken care of. But we realize that not everyone can come up with $44.95. That's okay. We're also going to include payment plans. So ask about our payment plans, because you can put these together and develop them with pro-trader strategies. And for a small, very small minimum discount, you can be in and up and running and still establish a small payment plan and still be in both of these courses, in the strategy 2 course and the advanced class, still get a full year of the platform, still get the extra bonuses, of the advanced masterclass for scanning. So you can have two ways. You can either with a special discount of $44.95 in full, or you can go with a payment plan. Okay. Remember, this also includes the full free year of the platform, depending on either way you go, and it also includes free access to the scanning masterclass. Be one of the first to take advantage of this entirely new strategy. No one is trading this other than myself. I'm the only one trading this currently, but no one is trading this. You can be one of the first, and you'll get the on your feet on the ground before anyone sees this, because we really feel this is going to be our runaway strategy for 2023. Just because of the edge it has, and because it's available for option traders as well as stock traders, as well as currency pair traders, as well as crypto traders, even commodity traders. We've researched it in all those markets, and has a really high probability for some great results. Okay, take charge of your trading. Remember, the only people I know that are still trading from my years on the floor, when I worked there were roughly about 300 traders on the floor. The only ones that are still trading are the ones that make their own trading decisions. The ones that bought these supposedly fantastic systems that were back tested 20 years, that had tremendous win-loss ratios. They've all lost it all. The other ones that were listening to some guru that gave them nightly signals, they've all given it back. The only ones that are still trading, the 3 to 5 that I know of, are the ones that have a simple plan and they just make their own decisions. They don't worry about news. They don't worry about what's going on economically. They don't worry about what some guy says in a trading room. They have their plan in place and they just follow it on a daily basis. You can do that with strategy number 2. We'll show you how to do it. We'll mentor you and lead you along the way so that you can ultimately be alone and do it by yourself. This is how you become a consistent trader. And that's our goal. Not just for traders to have a good 6 months or a good year and then give it all back, but for traders to have a good maybe decade or a couple of decades, have that longevity. That's what it means to be a consistent trader. So here's how to take advantage of this. Contact my sister site, which is Pro Trader Strategies. I would highly recommend giving them a call at area code 310-598-6677. They have trading consultants manning the phones right now. They would be more than happy either to take your order over the phone or answer any question concerning pricing or putting together a payment plan. Remember, you don't have to pay the full $44.95. You can also establish a payment plan for just a minimum amount and still be up and running in the classes. So we will have a live class for strategy number 2. We'll also have a live class for the advanced scanning, and you can be involved in both of those for a very small amount. So give them a call. Now, that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page. You can also sign up online if you'd like. We have posted that link in the chat box. So if you open up your chat box, you'll see that there's a live link there, okay? Now, I'm going to leave all this information up here and leave the last part of our presentation for questions. So if you have a question, you can either go to the chat box or you can go to the question and answer box. I'll look at the chat box first. Someone is saying, back testing is okay, but how is future testing results? Well, first of all, I don't know if you heard me talking about testing. I'll give you a little bit of, this is just my opinion about testing. When I left the floor, I used to manage money, and then I was hired to trade systems and teach some of these systems for these companies that had developed them. And all of these systems that I traded for the companies and I also taught to prospective clients had phenomenal results going back 10, 20 years. Some the win-loss ratios, some of them, they were just, the drawdowns were so small and they were amazing. And these were a number of systems. I'd say upwards of 10 different ones that I traded and taught. And then guess what? Every one of those systems went into a tremendous drawdown and gave everything back within 2 to 3 years. Everything. And what happened to the result? What happened to the the back testing, the research? It's because of this that none of our methods are researched, because that's where we realize that the only way you can become consistent trader is by making your own decisions and not by letting some bot tell you what to buy or what to sell. Once you trade a system, what you're really doing is taking yourself out of the game. You're allowing something or someone else to make the decision for you. And remember, as I said in the beginning of the presentation, that's how traders fail. That's why 80 to 85% of traders fail, myself included. I did when I first started trading. I traded some systems and they couldn't work, and I couldn't understand why. I thought the back testing, the research was phenomenal. So I realized that what you need is a rule-based method. All of our strategies are roughly about 70 to 75% rule-based, but then you need about 20 to 25% reserved for discretion. Now, when I say discretion, I don't mean, well, I woke up today and I feel lucky, or, I have a great feeling about this. I'm just going to bet the farm here. That's not what discretion means. Discretion is an insight. Discretion is a feeling from looking and watching and from being involved in the markets that you said, well, I've seen this before. I often bring this up. It's similar to football, and I don't know how many people watch football. I myself am not a huge football fan, but I know from watching it, they have something that's called an audible. That means when the offense goes up to the line and they have their play intact, everyone knows what they're supposed to do, but then the quarterback sees that the defense has changed and maybe altering their plan. So what he says, he calls out an audible. This means that there's a slight change because they're adjusting to what they're seeing now before the play even takes place. That's the same way you should trade. You should have a plan in place, but when you see and have an insight that maybe the market looks a little bit different here, maybe it's a little bit too volatile, maybe it's a little bit too choppy, and even though the signal appears, maybe I'm going to alter my entry, maybe I'll alter my exit, maybe I'll alter my stop. And we encourage this. We provide you with all this different information, all these different spots for you to change, and we encourage this. And it's because of this that there's no way you can backtest or forward test or do any research, because everyone trades differently, and we want that. Remember, in my 46 years of trading, the only traders that are still around are the ones that make their own trading decisions, not the ones that stick and never change. And even though the market may be going down, a buy signal is generated, they continue to buy all the way down. We want you to have input. That is the only way you will become a consistent trader, okay? So I hope that's a long way to answer that question about backtesting, but that's why we don't have any backtesting. That's why we don't really believe in backtesting. Let me get some more questions here. Where do you set the stop loss? Well, that's a great question. That's for the students who are in the course, because we teach that to you. There are a number of ways. We have upwards of 6 or 7 different stop losses, and we teach all that information in the course, okay? Well, let's say you're the type of trader that doesn't like to risk a lot. Well, then we'll show you a very type stop. But let's say you're the type of trader that says, I have a huge account and I don't mind taking on a lot of risk. I sleep well at night. So we'll show you a very deep stop, but that's all included in the course, okay? Does it only work on the PTS Primo chart? How about Thinkorswim? Right now, it only does work on the Primo charts, but there may be plans to have it on things like Thinkorswim or NinjaTrader or Meta Stock or even TradeStation. I would contact Pro Trader Strategies, since they're in charge of all the technical support and all the data and things of that nature, okay? Will you reveal the formula or indicators you use to generate the signals if I buy the package? We'll review some of them, not all of them. Remember, the filter is proprietary, but we'll review some of them, okay? We don't want to give it away. Most of this is going to be proprietary. Let me see some of the questions. When are the courses? We will be giving the courses most likely a week from this Friday, okay? So we have a couple of more days to Friday. It's going to be a week from this coming Friday, the 28th. Okay, so that's when the classes will be. And they're going to be live classes, just as this is, but it will be to a specific amount. We're not going to, we get a specific amount. We really don't want to get any larger. We have a few slots open. After that, we close it. It doesn't matter if there's 5 or more people. We'll just give them the video of that, okay? How long are the classes? The classes are roughly 1 to 2 hours long. This looks like it's probably going to be at least 2 hours, though, because we're also going to be talking about strategy number 2. So we're going to be really deep diving into advanced scanning, and then we'll also go into strategy number 2. So you get the best of both worlds in one afternoon. The reason why we have them on Fridays, someone is asking why Friday, it's because after all that information, you'll have a whole weekend to experiment with it. You'll have the charts, you'll have the PTS Primo charting platform, and you'll know exactly how to apply it. Then you can go and do your own research, okay? Good questions, good questions. Any more while you still have me here? Yes, someone's asking this Friday, what if we can't make it? Every one of our courses is recorded. So just like this presentation today, if you can't make it, we will send you a link to the recording so you can always watch the pre-formatted classes. But remember, in the classroom, it's a lot different than this. It's a more intimate setting. You can ask me questions whenever you like, and we can take a long time to go over questions. And so it's more intimate, and it's more of a classroom setting as opposed to an informational webinar, okay? So it's a great way to learn. Then you'll have all the information. You can check it out. You'll get all the platform and all the, I would say, different ways in which to apply stops, entries, exits, and then you can experiment over the weekend, okay? Any other questions? These are good ones. You guys sound like you're been trading for a while, and that's a great way. But remember, most traders have difficulty trading once you take yourself out of the game. Here's another question. Does this system give signals in a down market so we can go short or buy puts? Yes, it does. I showed you a couple of examples. I don't know if you saw them, but I had some great examples where it did. I showed an example in Tesla just a week or so ago where you could have potentially made about 25 points buying the puts in just about less than a week. So yes, and it doesn't matter if you want to trade options in other markets or currency pairs, you can do that as well. So yes, it provides in up markets and down markets, but only the strongest of markets. And if you're an option trader, this makes it perfect for that because, as I said, you can be right trading options and still lose money because it's just not enough movement. So we want to see that movement where it goes above a 10-day high or a 10-day low. That means it's a really strong trend, okay? Remember, if you have any questions once we've concluded here, don't worry. You can always call Pro Trader Strategies. They're there to work with you. They're there to help you. And there's no obligation, even if you haven't made a decision yet about becoming a student of mine. That's okay. They're there to answer any question you may have. They'll give you a quote on a payment plan. So if you don't want to buy it outright, they'll tell you how much you need to put down and what the monthly payment would be. And so you can think about it and decide on it. But remember, don't think about it too late because the class will be a week from this Friday. And then after that, most likely it'll just be a recording and something that'll probably won't get the other bonuses included with this, okay? Okay, let's close up here and take one last look at our disclaimer. I just want to say thank you so much. I hope I explained to you how, really a consistent method strategy number 2 is and how I really feel it can help your trading. Even if you have something that works right now, if it's not giving you the kind of results you want, this would be a great alternate strategy to have on the side just to help you, make up those months where you're having difficulty with your method. And this can really get you back on track, okay? As we close, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. I really wish you all the best of luck, but mostly I look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the strategy number 2 course, which starts a week from this Friday, okay? Thank you so much for watching today. Hope to see you in class. Bye-bye.